Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is I, Mr. Sean. Happy 2023 to you all. This will be another delve into RPG horror stories. My apologies for any background noise in this one. There is a bit of severe winter weather going on outside, and I am stuck at home. So I figured I would record, make, and then schedule as many different uploads as I can. So happy 2023, everybody. As always, before we get started, I would like to mention that I use this channel as advertising for my custom miniatures business, Chimera Miniatures, and go ahead and check that out. Links are in the description. Today we have a tale from user Kadarai called Belle's Blues, and just note this is tagged not safe for work. Hi. I'm a longtime lurker that finally decided to get some things off my chest, to vent the bad and spread the awesome. So here it goes. A few years back, after coming out of a really rough patch, my brother pulled me into RPGs again to help raise my spirits. We started playing regularly at a local store. And given we tended to go the extra mile with our sessions with props, roleplay, and rule of cool, we soon drew the attention of the store's community. People wanted to join in, and we soon started organizing multi-table D&D epics at the store. The owner even asked us to run a seasonal campaign. We weren't paid much, or at all, but we were having fun, met new people, and tried new things. It was, in general, awesome. I hate that this is in RPG horror stories, because from the start of this sounds like heaven. We designed an adventure around Waterdeep involving the Nethrese, in collaboration with an ancient dragon, attempting a heist to steal an ancient artifact from the city vaults in order to bring a lost flying fortress from the Shadowfell back to Faerun. Yeah, we kinda ran reverse Waterdeep Dragon Heist 2 years before it came out. Wait till you hear about Season 2 involving the awakening of an avatar of winter in Icewind Dale. The heroes, working for Blackstaff, tried to stop them at every corner while unearthing Waterdeep's lost secrets, making allies and raising havoc. It all culminated in a full-on assault as the Nethrese tried to take the city and its mythal. An epic conclusion with flying islands and ships, dragons, and full of destructible terrain as 30 players battled simultaneously for the glory and the fate of the Sword Coast. It was amazing and one of the best RPG moments of my life. Alright, kudos to you, Kadarai, because I am hooked. This sounds like an amazing adventure, and the hammer hasn't dropped. We haven't even met the titular Belle yet, so I would love to play in this campaign, and it just sounds like you guys were doing something really cool, and I hate that it's apparently going to go downhill. But as always, there was trouble along the way. Enter Belle, the player who almost ruined it all. First, some background. The player was an aspiring singer, the daughter of a local authority figure who, in order to escape from the shadow of her parents' fame and wealth, preferred to frequent in places she wasn't known, while attempting to forge her own path through life as she searched for true love. She did fancy herself a romantic. This is not an assessment. She actually described herself that way. Wait a minute, was this the player's actual, like, real-life bio? Because this already sounds like a D&D character. Just a rule of thumb, guys, if someone describes themselves to you and it sounds like they're doing a Session 0 character introduction, they're gonna be trouble. The character, Bella, yep, guess I called that one. This Belle is the real person, this Bella is her player character. Alright. Bella was the daughter of a Waterdavian noble, an aspiring bard with a voice that could melt the coldest heart, who ran away from the forced marriage her father planned to forge her own path, and she joined an adventuring guild in order to gather stories and find true love. Self-insert! The more perceptive will notice a bit of overlap between player and character. Yeah, I think a distracted blind child could notice that overlap. We paid no mind to it at first, as she assured us she was an avid role player, and we didn't want to chase people away from a new campaign. But it became quickly clear that Belle didn't differentiate herself from the character, taking anything that happened to the character as a personal offense. Yeah, this is definitely why it's important to not just fully play a self-insert character in D&D, because, again, you will get attached to your character. There's no denying that. It's not a bad thing, but if you can't differentiate yourself from your PC, then if anything goes wrong, it's gonna hurt and you're not gonna like it, and it's best just to play something you think sounds fun without just trying to make it your own self-insert power fantasy. Case in point, I'm finally, while I do suffer the DM curse, it does look like I am going to potentially get to actually play in a campaign somewhat soon, and I have designed a character that is not me, but he is designed over something I think would have been like a job back in the day I would have been very well suited to. I'm designing a half-drow tiefling character who is a bard, has the charlatan background, and is essentially a snake oil salesman. Again, I consider myself to be a somewhat charismatic person and always thought that, back in the day when that was a thing, I would have been fairly good at it, even though it doesn't really align with my sense of morals in the modern world. But I think it'd be fun to kind of play that character and try it out. That being said, if things go bad for that character and I end up having to make another one, oh well, I have plenty of other fun ideas to try out. It's not me, it's a character that I'm playing. Also, let's not ignore the red flag of this person actually describing their real-life self as searching for true love. I'm a bit of a romantic myself, but I find the use of the phrase true love in a non-fiction setting pretty cringy. While I really hope this isn't the case, the not safe for work tag leads me to believe that at some point someone is going to flirt in character with Bella, and Belle is not going to be able to differentiate that in-game flirtation from real-life attraction, and I'm here for it, but I'm not here for it. So things start off relatively well. Fun is being had. Belle is a bit boisterous, but other than attempting to halt combat as she IRL sang a 5-minute piece for her bonus action to Bardic Inspiration. Whoa, hold up. 5 minutes? First off, I think anything you do during your turn in combat is supposed to only take, 6 seconds? So first off, if you're going to try and do something for 5 minutes, I'm definitely going to say, hey, your character's just doing that, and we're going to move on, sing it in your head, and it's going to basically take the entire combat for them to finish doing this, and I'd probably do something like, yeah, if you're just going to hum to yourself and not use any of your turns to do anything other than this, yeah, I'll say, you know what, let everybody have Bardic Inspiration. Like, the way I see it, at that point, the Bard is staying out of combat in order to inspire and essentially play theme music, but I wouldn't let them actually. That would just be like, okay, you're forfeiting all your turns. But one way or the other, I would shut that down. No way they're gonna IRL sing for 5 minutes while everybody just waits. Definitely would not allow this. All while she insisted we filmed her. A bit that got old really fast. Wait, this happened multiple times. Okay, at this point, you guys are just asking for this problem. You gotta shut this down. All were going smoothly. She swapped 2 to 3 tables claiming schedule issues, which we tried to accommodate. The players joined tables that played throughout the month and came together for a big session at the end of every story arc. We tried to keep teams together for scheduling reasons and accommodating friends, but other than that, we were open as new players joined all the time and the campaign was designed with this in mind. So OP, you and your brother sound like pretty skilled and experienced DMs. I'm surprised you let Bella's shenanigans go on, at all, let alone for as long as you apparently did. Then, we received a message from another player. Now see, we use downtime between sessions and encourage players to be creative and weave the downtimes with our actual story for more fun. This player, Ponan the Marmarian, hey, not everyone is a naming genius, was a noble-hearted barbarian that had climbed through the stage of underground pit fighting to become one of the most prominent pit fighters in the city, the equivalent of a Waterdavian Dwayne Johnson. So, Ponan sends a message asking if we were okay with interplayer roleplay. We asked him what he meant, as we were genuinely confused. We RP'd all the time, and encouraged it. He then proceeds to send us a string of texts the length of a small novella between him and Belle. The cheesy, cringy, incoherent mess started with Bella attempting to throw herself off the cliffs of Mount Waterdeep, only for Ponan to try and stop her, and her ending up saving him from her fall. Just go with it. She had to be both the damsel in distress and the strong, independent woman, all rolled in one. They ended up in his room where, warning for not safe for work weirdness, she tied him on the bed, poured hot wax on his chest before using her dagger to carve her name on his flesh, and then use her feet to do stuff. At that point, Ponan was completely appalled and had stopped writing. She was just rambling on by herself. She ended the conversation with trying to ask him out IRL, and him declining. I called it. I hate to be right, but I called it. He then came to us because, as he was a newer player, he wanted to make sure that none of this was canon, as he and his character wanted nothing to do with her. We assured him that none of this was sanctioned and didn't count. We discussed what to do, and as we did, some other things came up. Apparently, Belle followed a pattern. She'd join a table, mark whichever character seemed the most charismatic and or heroic, attempting to woo them in-game, then attempt IRL, get rejected, change table, rinse, repeat. Oh god, it's not just like a one-time thing, it's a fucking pattern. Great. Oh, this just went from bad to worse. Every DM that had encountered the problem had cut her off and hoped that was the end. We should have discussed it earlier. Okay, so it's more like it's caused by a communication problem between the multiple DMs. Okay, little bit more you get a little bit more forgiveness again, OP. I thought this was run entirely by you and your brother, but if you had even more cooks in the kitchen, I can see how this might have slipped through the cracks. We discussed banning her, but the shop owner was against kicking players out unless there was a really big problem, and especially Belle, who was a big spender. We had a talk with Belle, not mentioning that we had read the messages. We kept it between us. No one should be made to bear those images and knowledge, just trying to dance around the fence that RP would happen in sessions or in chat with the DM, hoping she'd not try something like this again. Nope, you lost some points again. You gotta call people out on their shit. I would have made her read the text chats out loud and then asked her why she thought that was appropriate. As long as Belle is over 18, because I'm not about to make a minor do that. I get the sense that Belle is over 18, and this just isn't some, like, cringy teenage, live journal type shit. Like, she's actually being predatory and harassing to these people with full knowledge that this is not appropriate. Don't let her do Pawnan dirty like that and then let her get away with it and not face her actions head on. We thought it worked, until one day she came to me saying she wanted to bring some of her friends in the game, forming their own table. It seemed fine, they joined, and although they at first acted like her cheerleaders, they started getting invested in the campaign and actually having fun, which Belle didn't seem to like if it didn't involve her in some way. Then, as I discussed with one of the other DMs, he says, "Wait, Belle is playing with you? I still have her in the group with Pawnan, and she has been forcing us to reschedule the games as she is busy." We hadn't checked the schedule because at the time all DMs were really busy IRL. Someone would just show up and play the table that was scheduled, and she had used that against us to make Pawnan's table miss almost a month's worth of games as revenge. This is mainly on us. We should have kept better books. We relied too much on Spirit decor, don't know what that word means, and understanding of the difficulties by everyone. The idea that someone could be as petty as to make an entire table miss on good old relaxing fun didn't even cross our minds. I get it, OP. You want to believe the best in everybody, but this girl clearly grew up in mommy and daddy's shadow, and while she somehow thinks she can break out from that, the shadow has given her a narcissistic streak that has made her both in-game and in real life think of herself as the main character of the story. And despite her, desire to break out from mommy and daddy's shadow, I think really the shadow is what's causing the problems. The fact that she relies on that shadow. She thinks that because mommy and daddy are important, she is important. And she's not. She's just some bitch. And you really should have been keeping a better eye on her, because it sounds like she's been a problem in numerous ways, and you've all just kind of hoped for the best, believed the best in people, and let it all go for the sake of fun, and it sounds like she is only becoming a bigger problem the more you allow her to get away with. Again, the shop owner was adamant that we should find a workaround. We should have spoken up right there for the sake of our sanity. The workaround was simple. Belle wanted to live her big love story. We'd give her one. We found expendable NPCs. I say expendable, but he was one of the most awesome we had. Socialite noble with a double life as a vigilante, a more flamboyant Batman meets Tuxedo Common from Sailor Moon, and equally effective. Don't ask, we are weird. He'd occasionally show up on climactic battles, say something that made no sense, throw a rose, and provide a help action as a mastermind rogue, do nothing else than, for some reason, get all the credit in newspapers even though the heroes saved the day. It was a hilarious deus ex machina that provided arguable help to the parties that struggled from time to time. He was cool, but his story had no real importance on the overarching plot. So we threw him at Bella. "Oh, now you're doing Tuxedo Batman dirty? That's your NPC, that's your baby, don't do him like that." So we threw him at Bella, dressing him as her perfect match, a bad boy with a heart of gold, and creating the perfect opportunities for her to RP without disrupting the flow of the sessions. I really regret the time and thought that went into pleasing her, as it only ended in failure, because apparently that NPC wasn't as ideal as she wanted, nay demanded, an imaginary boyfriend that was more integral to the story, that didn't stop her from attempting to extort him for money and magical items. I'm surprised none of my players ever tried to get me to give them an NPC sugar daddy. After that, I completely signed off too. We isolated Belle to her own group, and every week we took turns who would be the unlucky DM sacrifice that would have to deal with her shenanigans, which mainly involved a bard. a bard, rambling about her virtues before charging in blindly using a tentacle whip to smack people instead of using any bardic ability or spell to help her team or do anything useful in general. The others had to learn how to work without her, which they did. It worked for a time, letting the other 5 tables live their epic adventure until Belle brought in a new player. This one came with a ready backstory of wanting to be a noble knight from humble birth that searched for his maiden fair, and he'd found her in Bella! And it would be fine if not for once more spilling outside their table. First of all, the knight started sending PMs to other players, incidentally, only to the ones that had rejected Belle and Bella, to invite them to an event at a new arena for exhibition matches, because obviously the new boy toy had to prove he was the most heroic and able sword in the land. Secondly, they came to the DMs with a great plan. Organize Bella's wedding to the knight, and as she was a noble, get rich from her father's fortune and all the presents of noble families in the city. Let me say that again. They came to the DMs with a smug, I broke your game attitude of how they'd get filthy rich by drawing the NPCs in the stupidest con ever, and demanded we play it out for them. To hell with it. It was hilarious. We were game. OP, I'm glad you're going along with this, because even with if a problem player brought this to me, like, again, if one of my good players, if my players brought this idea to me, I would go along with it 100%. It would definitely be, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do with this, but even if a problem player is the one bringing this to you, that still gives you so much potential creativity that you can use here. This is definitely a, we're getting a team together, you son of a bitch, I'm in, kind of situation. Plus, even, especially because it's a problem player, think about all the ways you could fuck with them by all the misfortunes that could occur during this. Half the people invited to the matches declined, laughing, while those that accepted swept the floor with the knight's face rather easily. As the guy was obviously new to the game and Belle was backseat driving the character, I felt sorry for the guy. Then her father disowned her for marrying a nobody and not the rich and powerful heir he had planned. She threw a tantrum, but I'll give it to her friends. They role-played it greatly and made him change his mind. They were really invested in the overall story, and drawing them into this was not the best. I really regret it, but they had good fun in the end. The wedding takes place, but the father, following his daughter's wishes, didn't give her any money to allow her to grow herself, while also inviting people she knew to the wedding to make business connections and show off to his friends. People like Pawnan, the famous pit fighter, the captain of the guard, the Blackstaff, and other heroes of the City of Splendors. Finally, they got some gifts, which they liquefied for money and magic items, which they did in broad daylight the day after the wedding, so the entire city knew, and their name got dragged through the mud, imposing a penalty on all checks against nobility in the town. They did get 2 rings of protection as wedding gifts, though, and proceeded to ask if they also got a C buff from the ceremony wedding spell, because it would apparently help them face roll the next adventure. Don't ask me how. They jumped in blindly, both died within minutes of the start of the next adventure, but both got revivified. Till death do you part, right? After this, things were mostly quiet until the last session, where, in the pre-session party, she got super drunk and started yelling over the other people. She was escorted home by a friend, while the rest of her party stayed behind, and we learned some more disturbing stuff. Apparently, Belle had been spreading the rumor that she was awesome, and all the DMs were all over her and fighting over her, and the entire campaign revolved around her, something that had caused other people that didn't know us to stay away from the campaign and the shop. Her friends originally came to play here because they wanted to protect her as she liked the game too much and wanted to continue. Now knew that this was not true, and they were having fun in the campaign, even thinking about bringing more people over for Season 2. The shop owner banned her himself after that. A great last session and epic conclusion was had, and Belle joined the wall of players to avoid, together with the Assault Vibes guys and Swallow Eggs Whole guy. I'd like to say this was the last time I had to play with her, but life had other plans. Alright guys, there is a part 2 to this story, but as this video is getting a bit on the longer side, that's where we're going to end it today. The next video will be part 2. I just want a couple final thoughts on this one. I do want to give OP, for any things I criticized on how they dealt with Bella, things like that, I do say I want to give OP a pass. It does sound like even, it sounded really cool in the beginning, and the way he went on to describe this campaign, even cooler. The fact that they were able to run this whole concurrent storyline with multiple DMs, multiple sessions, like, it sounds really cool. Nothing but respect. If I had to, I mean, clearly Bella is the villain of this story, but if anything, if anyone gets some shade here, it's the store owner. Now, in the end, store owner did the right thing, banned the problem player, but while I can understand the fact that they're running a business, you definitely don't want to throw out a big spender. The judgment comes with the fact that he did throw her out once he realized that she was the one preventing new people from coming into the store and giving him business. And while I can definitely understand that that would be like a no-go, like if you're really trash talking a store and getting people to go elsewhere, yeah, as a business owner, you're not going to be happy, but you really also have to focus on maintaining the happiness and protecting the customers you already have. You have to protect your pre-established client base, but he didn't seem to do that. He just said deal with it, and not until he found out that she was preventing new people from coming in did he give two damns. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Hope you'll join me for the next one once that's posted. Again, my name is Mr. Sean. This is Chimera Miniatures' official YouTube channel, and I hope you alpha great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.